Hello and welcome back to my channel, or if you're here for the first time, thank you for clicking on this video. We're in the middle of my series on how I decided to become a YouTube creator. And really what this is my reaction video to YouTube itself. I know reaction videos are very popular in the YouTube universe these days. And there's a lot of stuff I really want to talk about that has nothing to do with this series, but I kind of want to get this out of the way before we move on to other stuff. This isn't exactly a vanity project per se, but it's more of my confession or my origin story as to what motivated me, what got me into the idea of doing this, the pitfalls along the way, the decisions I made, and so yeah, we'll get into it in a minute. If you were here for the last video, you remember we ended off on discussing Barricade Garage, and that was a pretty intense video. It actually took me several days to get the energy to make that video because I was suffering through a midwinter cold, and it is cold as heck outside. I've had the heater running in here all morning, and it's not much colder in the garage here. But yeah, Barricade Garage, BG, he was the prince of the last video because there was some scandalous, controversial figures, and I use those terms kind of facetiously. In a society where we live, where free speech is valued, there really should be no controversial topics. Everything should be allowed to be discussed. But we were talking about people that have been banned, people that were using their platforms for not outright malicious reasons, but less than honorable reasons. And I encourage you to go back to that video, check it out. In any case, let me know what you thought of that hat in that video. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of this beautiful hat. This was a gift from a friend of mine. And if you recall, I'd kind of been building a foundation as we go on the things I value. And we started off really in an introductory video where I was prefacing the whole thing, is the value of storytelling. And we'll be talking more about that as we go along. But then in previous videos, I was talking about what attracted me to certain creators was that they were just interesting people. And so being interesting is a value, a human need, I guess, to be interested and captivated by what you're experiencing. And then as well in the last video, I kind of let out that I really appreciate and value humor. Now in this video, we're going in a different direction in that it's the skilled people that really had an impact on me in this platform of YouTube. And there's actually lots of other content that I've partaken in YouTube, but it was not influencing me to become a YouTuber. And we could talk about that another time, but this series is specifically about what prompted me to go down this path. So anyways, yeah, I had mentioned in the previous video, Barricade Garage, he's furiously funny, amazingly smart, intellectual, but also good with his hands. And he works on vehicles, garden equipment, all that kind of stuff. And he's got a catalog of videos. And so I didn't really catch on to Barricade Garage until spring of 2024, where in this very space that we're sitting, I was working on my 2004 Ford F350. It needed some engine work. I had purchased it from an auction. There's some short videos that I've got on my channel. You can check out that thing as she sings to you. But I had spent hours and hours and hours under the hood of that thing. And so I would play Barricade Garage's videos in the background, listening, to his live streams as he went. And that possibly more than anything got me thinking, is like, yeah, this is easy enough that anybody could do it. Just get your camera turned on and start talking to people. But let's go step back in time to around 2015, 2016. I was living back in Winnipeg with my wife. We were just newly married, and I was for whatever reason, looking for video on how to weld. I wanted to get into welding. I had never welded before. And I knew nothing about it other than you're basically fusing two pieces of metal together. Oh, so cold in here. I got my hot black coffee. It's black because that's the shop rule. No cream and sugar allowed in the shop. That's for indoors only. Anyways, I came across a video by a fellow Canadian actually, and his YouTube handle is AVE. And he had a quick instructional video. It was mostly nonsensical actually, on how to stick weld. And again, with previous videos, I'll put links and tags in the description, so you can go look up these folks yourself. I highly encourage you do check out some of these people, because they are wickedly knowledgeable and fantastically skilled at the things they're talking about and doing. But AVE was a very unique presentation in that he mixed a sense of humor with highly technical material. And he did tool reviews where he would pull apart your brand new Milwaukee or Harbor Freight or DeWalt, drills, saws, any piece of equipment. And his premise was, the people that were supporting him financially were allowing him to make purchases, and he could go right into these deep dive tool reviews and show you the MOSFET circuitry and the switching systems and the armatures of these different motors. And I found it all fascinating. I was never going to apply any of this material, but it was so relaxing sitting there watching it, knowing that there's people out there that understand these things. And if it really came down to it, I could probably pull one of these things apart, fix it as needed. And that was something that was kind of instilled with me in this type of content, is that you can demystify a lot of these systems and diagnose, troubleshoot, and get them working again. And I love that idea. It's very analytical and mechanical. Contrast that with, say, human relationships, where your analysis might not lead to the right diagnosis. A transmission doesn't know how to lie to you. Your scan tool, it has to tell you the truth because it's programmed to. Not so with people. But in any case, I thoroughly enjoyed AVE's content, and that kind of led me to other similar content. Not so much car mechanic and that kind of thing, but there was a fella in Great Britain, or UK, I guess you'd call it, and his name is Alex Steele, and he was doing blacksmithing videos. And again, not necessarily something I was gonna ever do, but he was talking about machining and milling and welding processes, and his big thing was making these fancy knives and swords out of Damascus steel. And it's basically a process where you fuse two different types of steel together, and you keep folding them over on themselves. You stick them in the kiln, or you stick them in your forge, and you're bending them over until you get many thousands of layers of these different types of steel, and you hammer them out, and then you shape them into your sword or battle axe or whatever. It was just fascinating stuff, just watching the process. Again, very therapeutic and relaxing, seeing how you could shape this cold hard steel and make it do what you want. And so Alec, he started out in this old shed in somewhere in England. I don't quite know where, but it looked like it had been bombed in the Blitz in World War II, and they never bothered to rebuild it. So he was just working out of this kind of hole in the wall shed, and he had his big power hammer, where it smashes down the steel into, you know, thin layers and thin sheets. And he was making his own custom forging hammers, or you know, blacksmith hammers and tools, and doing instructional stuff. And he was even featured, I think, on the History Channel at one time. But just a real interesting fellow and highly skilled. And he was young. Like, he started doing this when he was in his teens, and his YouTube channel, when I was watching it, he wasn't even 20 years old. So, you know, I watched him for a season. I kind of moved on. He moved into a different space, meaning a shop, and it was interesting watching him set up a new shop. You know, basically have a blank, empty canvas, and you can fill it however you like. And so he set up this shop space in England to suit his equipment needs and the things he was doing for YouTube. It was set up as a YouTube studio. And so that was kind of neat, seeing his process as his channel grew and his capabilities grew. And eventually, I think he decided to move. He got married to an American girl and moved to Montana or something like that. And I kind of just lost the ability to follow what he was doing. So I kind of haven't watched Alec in a while. I believe he's still making videos. I didn't really go back and check who's doing what these days, except for this next person. I know for sure he's doing videos. It's a gentleman in the Pacific Northwest. His YouTube channel or handle is The Essential Craftsman. I forget his first name off the top of my head, but he's got years and years, decades of experience as a home builder, contractor, as well as blacksmith, machinist, and he's got this amazing setup at his place. And I look at that, and it's just, there's such a sense of Americana and historicity to it, in that there's the old being blended with the new. Like, he's able to do what he's doing in his trade in building houses and whatnot, but also give a nod to skills that were much more valued at you know, say the beginning of the 20th century or the end of the late 19th century. But incredibly skilled artisan and very wise. You know, he's very relaxing to listen to. The wisdom, just you can almost tangibly feel it coming through the screen as you're watching. So again, The Essential Craftsman was one who got me thinking, is like, yeah, set up a camera, record what you're doing, and there's a market out there for that. There's people that do want to watch this. Like, I see that, I get it. And we'll talk a little bit about, you know, what maybe prevented me from doing that in a few moments. But I was watching these kind of videos, and it harkens back to Wrangler Star, who I was mentioning in the very first video here. You know, homesteader, and he had you know, his take on a little bit of basic blacksmithing, but he was really into timber framing and carpentry and logging and you know, timber lot management. And The Essential Craftsman, he's a former sawyer as well. He's got his own sawing equipment and tree felling capabilities, and so just watching these manly men do manly man things, you know, it was very inspiring. And you know, the decision to move out onto a homestead of my own, it kind of equipped me, and it was learning how to do these things via YouTube. Because when I got here, there was just me to figure the stuff out that I wanted to do. But we figured it out. Now I want to kind of take a shift here. The YouTubers that I'm kind of going into next are more into the wrench turning, mechanical, hands-on mechanics, the Carguys, etc. And so when I was in Winnipeg, I ended up acquiring a snowblower. It's actually sitting on the other side of the shop. By the way, if you want me to do a shop tour, leave a comment in the video. I can shoot a shop tour for whoever's interested, show you what I have to work with. It's not the prettiest of times, but it is what it is. But I bought this, or not bought, I essentially bartered for this snowblower, and it needed some carburetor work. And I was always mechanically inclined. Looking back on it now, like I was the kid that was always working on my bike, my pedal bike, to make it faster, or buying specialty parts to make it fancier. And really, looking back on it, I probably should have gotten into some mechanicking as a trade back as a young adult, deciding what to do in life. But it is what it is. My dad wasn't really into that kind of thing, as far as where I would have been interested in the motorbikes and trikes and quads. That wasn't a priority at that time. And not blaming my father for anything. I had a wonderful childhood, but if there was more interest to foster that mechanical side, I'd probably be doing that as a career. No regrets. I like doing what I'm doing in that realm currently. But these guys were kind of the ones that really caused a shift in my thinking, that yeah, you just need the right information and a basic set of tools, and you could do incredible things as far as repair, diagnosis, and getting stuff to run again. But anyways, I needed to rebuild this carb, and I didn't really know where to start, so I Googled how to fix a Tecumseh carb or something like that, or fixing a snowblower carburetor, blah, blah, blah. And anyways, what comes up in the search was a channel called Terrell Fixes All. And I have might possibly never come across another character like this again. The premise of his channel is so unique, in that they combine the storytelling, the interestingness, the humorousness, and the skill. Terrell is a small engine shop owner in Indiana, and his two sons help him with the YouTube channel and with the shop. And they basically, they release a video every Sunday morning. And his channel has grown well over the last, I've been watching close to 10 years now. And so he's got a good subscriber base. I'm not sure why his channel isn't bigger, because as far as the how-tos, I've never seen anybody do such detailed step-by-step, as well as the thought that goes behind it, the tools you need to do it, workarounds. But anyways, the creativity of Terrell and his sons. And Terrell is the first name. His online, or his YouTube persona, is Terrell Dactyl. And he wears a bit of a mock-up where he portrays this hillbilly hick mechanic. He's got the long hair wig, the mullet, the hat, and he's got these fake teeth that are all crooked and sticking out. And he talks with a highly a redneck dialect, if you will, and the setting is in Podunk, Indiana, and so their humor just comes through in every video, because usually at the start and end of every video they do a little humorous skit, and some of the humor is basically a little more than fart jokes and poop jokes, but some of it is just it catches you off guard, and you're laughing your head off. The silliness of it is virtual genius. So, I mean, hats off to Terrell. and his sons for putting out just this incredible product. Highly informative. It helped me so many times in my understanding of small engine repair that now I could look at most any project and just get to the heart of the issue fairly quickly and figure out whether it's worth fixing or not. But in a small engine world related to Terrell, there's another fella in Canada. Believe he's on the West Coast, somewhere, Vancouver Island possibly. Steve's Small Engine Saloon, and he does much shorter videos, kind of 10 minutes or less, in and out. You got this problem, check this. You ever wonder what this is all about? Check this out. Or here's a neat little tool you need. So he's got a more rapid fire content, whereas Terrell would go from start to finish. Terrell also does a lot of vintage stuff. Rebuilds, custom builds. Some of his custom builds are just amazing. The imagination and creativity to fabricate these fantastic little machines that are basically just for fun. Some are actually used for his shop operation. But go check out some of his builds. Like it's just amazing stuff. I so appreciate someone's ability to have that creativity, and that I can learn how to look at a thing and problem solve myself, engineer a solution, try it out, make a prototype, tweak it, make it better, or abandon it for something altogether different that actually is going to work. So the trial and error, just not being afraid to try and make mistakes is. Terrell gives you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it's really fun material to watch if you're into that kind of thing, which I am. So about this time too, was interested in vehicle maintenance mechanics, and so I came across Scotty Kilmer, and love him or hate him, he's got a big, huge channel. He's got a fantastic sense of humor and the experience behind it. He's been mechanicking forever, and I appreciate his ability to basically just tell you what he thinks about either a car brand or a model or a repair that you're doing, based on just the knowledge that he has. And he's getting up there in age, but he's been at it a long time as far as YouTube goes. I wasn't with him from the start, but he's got millions of subscribers and millions of views, doing very well. And it's sort of nothing outrageous that he's doing. He's branded himself very well, and it's sort of inspiring to think, this is doable if that's if I could find a hook to get people to keep coming back for my content. But anyways, I still enjoy the odd Scotty video. He knows his stuff. There's just no denying it. Like, is he right 100% of the time? Well, is any mechanic right 100% of the time? You'd hope they are, but the reality is I felt a need to get into more mechanical repair, just because it's so hard to find somebody that you could trust with your machinery or your equipment or your vehicle. So I like the ability to be able to do it myself, and I've got some success stories. That F-350, I love that truck. I mean, I have it for sale, but I think I'm just going to keep it. Like, it's what am I going to replace it with? It's a 2004 Ford. They were still making good vehicles back in the early 2000s. The stuff you're going to buy now, it's just the quality's not there. The reliability's not there. The manufacturers are making vehicles to not last, and that's a problem. I mean, that's a real problem that needs to be addressed. But anyways, in 2021, you remember that season most of you, but I found myself working part-time as a mechanic in a local shop nearby here. I had another job part-time, and I found this kind of during the slow times at the other job. I went to this mechanic and started turning wrenches there, basic oil change. I mean, the mechanic shop was bumper to bumper service, so we did everything. It was a little intimidating because we worked on power sports and garden lawn equipment, big equipment like skid steers and tractors, as well as cars, trucks, vans, everything. So whether it was doing brakes or replacing intake manifolds and diagnosing, working on RVs and electrical, like any manner of stuff. So it was really out of my comfort zone, but I appreciated the challenge. But I turned to YouTube when there was a difficult job that came up. I would just Google what needed to be done. Even at home in my off time, it's like, okay, there's this job that we're working on tomorrow. Let's get a background for what's happening under the hood, and maybe it'll make the job go faster. Whether it's replacing the starter in a particularly difficult location, or things you just need to know, and in rebuilding a rear end on a Chevy Duramax, or whatever. Like YouTube has been totally invaluable for that. And so somewhere around 2021, 2022, I came across the Car Wizards channel. And this is, again, a dude with decades of experience. He's a veteran. He was a mechanic in the armed forces in the United States. He's operating out of Kansas now. I think it's Newton, Kansas. And back when I was watching, he had very informative videos. It's more car review and not so much nitty gritty diagnostics, but he was kind of instrumental in showing me even techniques and tools I needed that would make the job easier, or not even easier, but if you didn't have these tools or these techniques in your repertoire, you weren't doing the job. So I really appreciate his content. He does lists, top 10 vehicles not to buy, top 10 most reliable trucks, most reliable cars, most reliable minivans. So again, I'll be putting links, or at least tags, to these channels, and I encourage you to go check out some of the stuff. It's very interesting to me, and it's so I don't know if the word is gratifying, that people are so generous with their knowledge that they're willing to put it out there on YouTube. And so the Car Wizard is one of those. I really appreciate his expertise, and he's got some skilled mechanics working with him. He's not a one-man show. He's got a shop, and I guess the unique part about his shop is they like working on exotics. So you'll see Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Alfa Romeos and things, Bugattis, things you won't see in your average YouTube car fix-it channels. And that's not necessarily why I watch, but it is rather interesting to see these makes and models that not a lot of people are working on. But the Car Wizard, he's got mechanics, they love working on that. And so it's, again, just giving you more confidence that it's just a machine. It's got nuts and bolts. You pull it out, you find out what's wrong, you replace the parts that are bad, and send it on down the road. But through the Car Wizard, there's another channel. It's not so much about skill, but more entertainment value, and that's Tyler Hoover's YouTube, which he's called Hoovy's Garage, and his wife April has her channel April's Garage, and he's you might see him or remember him from the Barrett Jackson auctions. I'm not too interested in that kind of stuff myself. I actually don't have cable hookup here, so I believe that's on the History Channel. So I've never seen a Barrett Jackson auction. I'm not seeking that out on YouTube to watch the auctions, but the premise of his channel is to find these exotic and unique or rare cars and buy them essentially for as cheap as he can find them, and then take them over to the Car Wizard, and the Car Wizard will fix them up for him. And he's got some winners and some real stinkers, and a really impressive car collection. But it's almost hard to watch how recklessly he invests in these vehicles and either loses thousands or potentially makes thousands. So I'm gonna check out Hoovy's Garage. I don't know if you're gonna learn much about what to do in the car realm so much as what not to do. There's another mechanic he uses called the Car Ninja. I'm not too familiar with his content, but I believe he works a lot on German BMW and stuff like that. So I'm not too interested in that. But from what I've seen on Hoovy's channel, he takes his cars to Car Wizard and the Car Ninja, and they both know their stuff. Like he's paying top dollar to get the top repairs done, and they do good work. So in learning from that example, that has been my standard. I want to do good work, and to be able to say I don't know when I don't know what the problem is with the vehicle. Like my motivation, I'll do repairs for people, but I'm not set up to be a mechanic shop, and I've kind of come to that realization that in the car realm, I'm not going to have a car YouTube channel, and that's okay. I don't necessarily want one. Like, just the way my property is set up, I would need to build a proper shop in order to do this, and I just don't see that spending $100,000 on a facility like that like it's never going to pay for itself. I'm too old to start that as a project, to start a brand new mechanic business where I'm located. Like we don't have enough work out here to, like, there's mechanics all over the place, and so I like working on my stuff, or people will bring stuff to me, but I want to see your vehicle on the road, and I don't want you to pay more than you need to, but I want it done right, and so I'll do my best, and I'll let you know if I can't do what you need done, and you need to take it somewhere else. Like, I'm limited here. I don't have a lift in this. I call it a shop, but it's a garage. It's got a 10-foot ceiling. For me to get a 2-post lift in here, I'd need probably 14 feet minimum to do what I want to do. And in any case, that's not going to stop me from learning and enjoying from these YouTubers. So anyways, back to kind of the real mechanics. I had bought this Power Stroke, this F350, and I had an F250, a quarter ton as well, and that one ended up as a parts truck. It had a head gasket that was going on it, and it just wasn't worth it to fix it because the body and frame were all rusting out. So I just parked it and was using it as a future parts truck, and I did find the current truck I have, this 1 ton, in beautiful shape, but it had some issues, and so I started swapping parts off that parts truck into as the donor truck to the truck I had just bought, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I've been selling off parts as I need it, and it's been a lot of fun. But I guess if you're going to get into the Ford Power Strokes, especially the earlier ones, whether it's the 7.3 or the 6-liter, like, you kind of need to be a do-it-yourself mechanic to pay for some of these repairs. I mean, this is where these trucks get such a bad reputation. You take it to a shop, and just the labor on some of the stuff is $5,000. It literally could be the end of the truck, or the end of your relationship or marriage. It's that bad. So I bought this truck, realizing that I was probably going to have to get into it, and sure enough, I did. But it was a labor of love, and knowing that there's guys like this next fellow, Diesel Tech Ron, putting content out there, it gives you confidence to take on these projects. So yeah, I may have spent a few hundred hours, maybe not that much, but imagine paying somebody 100 hours of labor to work on your vehicle. Like that's not doable. But if you're doing it on the side as a hobby or just something you enjoy, you can absorb that. You can pay yourself, because the finished product is a reliable vehicle you get to drive around. But anyways, Diesel Tech Ron unfortunately died a few years ago in a car accident. But his videos are still up. His family has left the channel up as a service to people. He was a Ford trained mechanic at the dealership, and he was working on nothing but the Ford diesel trucks, the 7.3s and the 6.0s. And if you have questions or issues, or want to get some insight on what's happening with your 6-liter or your 7.3, you need to put Diesel Tech Ron in your saved list or subscribe, as well as this next guy who's, I believe, near Nashville. His handle is the Auto Medic Garage. I came across his content, let's say 2023, early 2024, maybe just over a year ago. And again, he works almost exclusively on these older Fords. And the beauty of those trucks is once you get to know the fuel system and the oil system, and they're actually pretty easy to work on. They can be a pain because there's a lot of work involved, but they're very fixable. I mean, you can let them go to a point, with any vehicle, poor maintenance intervals, if you're not doing your oil changes, it's just not going to happen with a diesel. Like they need to be well cared for. And anyways, the Automatic Garage, incredible resource for when I was working on my truck. I actually bought an oil cooler from him. I guess this is another factor that kind of helped me to decide not to get into opening a full-time mechanic shop or being a YouTube mechanic. Because really it is a great way to run a business using YouTube as your marketing tool. Like it is fantastic, and people like the Automatic Garage are utilizing that and providing great value to people, just in the knowledge, but also getting word out. Come bring your vehicle to me. I'll fix it, and he will fix it. But I bought this oil cooler, and this is kind of one of the fail features in that particular motor. That Ford had taken a Navistar motor and rebranded it as a Ford, and this is around the time when they were having vehicle emissions standards come out. And so the oil cooler was kind of a fail point in that it was potentially causing some of these head gasket issues. And so the engine was made by Navistar, which is international, and they made the components. So Ford didn't actually make a lot of stuff, but they were made by International. And so over the years, Ford has outsourced a lot of stuff, first to Mexico, and then even to China, so that you can't even get made in the USA Ford parts anymore. And one of these parts was this oil cooler. So Automatic, he had bought a whole pallet from some parts distributor that he knew. I forget if it was a dealership, but I think he had bought 100 of these oil coolers, and then he was selling them through his YouTube channel or his website. So I ended up buying one because I wasn't going to take a chance with my truck. I pulled the oil cooler out, saw it was a made in Japan one, so I didn't want to mess around with anything less than the best that I could afford. And in the end, it ended up costing me about $1,000 Canadian. You know, by the time you shipped it here and the exchange rate, I mean, I think he was selling them for $350 American. So just give you Americans an idea of what we have to deal with up here. Interestingly, you know, I'm not turning this into a Power Stroke video, but I had phoned International here in Canada, and they were able to source that same oil cooler out of Calgary, Alberta. They had some in a warehouse. They said they had 30 of them sitting in a warehouse, and they wanted $3,300 a piece or some ridiculous amount. And so I said, no, thank you. And just thought, you know, have you guys ever wondered why you're sitting on 33 oil coolers or however many it was? Like they're not worth that much. It's not a $3,300 component by any stretch. But in any case, the automatic garage is still up strong. I encourage you, if you're a Ford owner, you'll get lots and lots of gold out of that channel. And then really these last two I want to focus on are more in the diagnostics, vehicle, computer diagnostics, electronics. I was working again this was through 2023. I was more full-time at this mechanic shop, at least through the summer. It had really slowed down in the winter, so I was laid off. But during that time, I came across a channel on YouTube called Schrodinger's Box. And it's a fellow named Matt. He's operating out of Colorado, Aurora, or somewhere around Denver. And he started his YouTube channel some 10 years ago or so, and just showing basic repairs, you know, in the shop for the do-it-yourselfer. And he was doing this as a hobby. And then as well some teaching components, you know, how to learn about fuel trims and the electronic systems and how ABS systems work. And in any case, over the years, he's gotten more and more diagnostic equipment, whether it's oscilloscopes and meters and just diagnostic tools. And so he's really become quite an authority in that realm, in that trade schools refer students to his channel for techniques on diagnosing. And so he's also got a paid internet channel called, I think it's Schrodinger's Quantum Mechanics, where for a monthly subscription, I think it was $5 a month, you get members only content, which goes even deeper than what he's offering on YouTube. And the stuff on YouTube is just fantastic, as far as, you know, looking at waveforms of ignition, firing, compression tests on cylinders using your scope, and like just all kinds of really cool stuff. You know, what your spark ignition waveform looks like, how to diagnose poor ignition, how to diagnose a poor injector, all kinds of stuff, as well as you know, how to track down wiring issues in a wiring loom or wiring harness. So this was kind of really the icing on the cake, or the real aha moment, in that prior to this, engine diagnostics and electronics and computer diagnostics were just completely mysterious to me. But once you get the principles down, it's really some of the easiest stuff. And some of these modern cars, they are over-engineered and overbuilt, and way too many sensors, way too many modules. but again, the modules can't lie, or at least if they're trying to lie, you can question them further and find out what's really going on. So really, the electronics diagnostics, once you are comfortable with it, it really becomes like a whole new world opening up to you. And along with Matt from Schrodinger's Box, another channel, Scanner Danner, he's got his YouTube content, as well as he actually runs a trade school training mechanics specifically on diagnostics, and I can't remember the name of Rose. I want to say Rosedale College or something like that, where he has actual students in the classroom, which is training, as well as online components where they look at different vehicles, different mock-ups, different setups, and they troubleshoot and diagnose. And his brother owns a garage, I believe, and so they call Paul Danner to come down there, and when they've got kind of a tricky situation that none of the other mechanics know what's going on, he'll spend some time, make a YouTube video, and that's basically his fee for charging. Rather than charge his brother a diagnostic fee, it's I get to put this on YouTube and make money that way. So it's really an interesting business model to do it in that way. And again, the knowledge that this gentleman's putting out there is really second to none. I encourage you, if you're into that kind of stuff, you can learn, and you can learn pretty quick. It's very doable. So this last mechanic mention I want to make is something I stumbled across not too long ago, maybe in the last 6 months, and it's highly produced. It might make you a better mechanic, but it's mostly just for laughs. Kind of the entertainment value is there, and it's called Real Mechanic Stuff. Real Mechanic Stuff. And basically they've got a studio, and they bring mechanics in, and they do reaction videos to stuff people are posting on the internet in the mechanic realm, whether it's dodgy repairs or scams or things that a mechanic's going to look at, and it's going to blow their mind, and so the reactions are funny, and I think you'll enjoy it if you are a mechanic, just seeing the lighter side of what goes on either in the shop or under the hood. This is, I believe it's kind of contained within Donut Media. I don't know much about Donut, but they've got a YouTube presence. But there's Real Mechanic Stuff and Real Mechanic Reactions. It's pretty hilarious. You will laugh out loud. So subscribe to a bunch of these content creators. Again, I'll leave ways to contact them in the description for this video. And really, all of them had a part in inspiring me rather than just instructing. But it's kind of with the realization I wasn't going to be in the repair or mechanic realm myself as a YouTuber. Again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself what this channel is actually hoping to accomplish, but I did want to share this video just because it's a bit of change of pace from the last video, which was a little on the intense side. The next video is going to be altogether different. It's about the music makers and the music content makers, whether it's reaction videos or commentary or actual artists on YouTube. But I really value the time I've spent looking at this particular set of creators, because there's such a generosity in their willingness to share their knowledge and to get your vehicle back on the road, or just to make you laugh, or to help you learn a new skill. And so there's actually more people that do deserve to be on the list, but we don't want this to be a 3-hour video. I'm not. It's going to wear me out. It's probably going to wear you out. But I think as we bring this one to a close, for those of you that are interested in this kind of stuff, take advantage of YouTube. Like, I guess one of the trends that helped me understand that mechanicking was not going to be a career, but just part of my lifestyle, is that, and I mentioned this earlier in the video, is the quality nowadays. Like, they're not making vehicles the way they used to. They're not making parts the way they used to. When I was working at the shop, and even now, you order parts and they're bad right out of the box. And the parts are either not made in the U.S., even some parts that are made in the U.S. or made domestically. Like here in Canada, we don't have manufacturing anymore like we used to. I will look for made in U.S. parts when I can, but even that's no guarantee of anything. It is a bit of a crisis in that, someday there won't be parts for these vehicles to even repair. Like, we're being trained to treat these as disposable pieces of equipment, even now with subscriptions for different services on your vehicles. Like, this is not you're not actually going to be owning your vehicle. It's a pernicious trend, and I really am not interested in learning about electric vehicles, although that may become necessary. Like here up in Canada, it's just not practical. It's been overnight lows of 40 below for the last 4 or 5 nights. Like, your electric vehicle is just not going to hold up, especially where I am in a rural setting. Like, I can't trust that. I need reliable vehicles, and the internal combustion engine has proven itself to be that vehicle that offers the reliability. So I'll keep fixing the old junkers, the old beaters, as long as parts are available. And whether it's junkyards or scrap yards or a lot of these vehicles, they still do make parts. They're still available, or aftermarket parts, or junked parts. And that's kind of where I'm going to be with my vehicles. That's just my approach, my philosophy. I really detest that consumerist idea that we're just going to discard and have these disposable vehicles. Like, it's a big investment, And you look at car prices nowadays. Okay. Enough of the old man rant. Like this video if you found it interesting, humorous, if you appreciated the storytelling, or if you feel a little more skilled after watching it. Leave a comment. I'm actually curious, how does this sound? I know it's kind of echoey in here. I did a sound check before. I'll look at purchasing some microphone equipment as needed, but if the sound quality is okay with you, then we'll leave it as is. My beef with YouTube is the volume. I can never get enough output out of my devices, and I'm not big on using the earbuds. So if I'm, say, working in the garage and I've got either my phone or my laptop playing a video, it's so quiet that I can barely hear what's going on. So I do wish we could get more output from the YouTube platform itself. But it is what it is. Hopefully this sounds good enough for you. Subscribe if you're interested. I appreciate the new subscribers I've seen in the last few days. The plan is to grow this 1 subscriber at a time. The intention is not even to grow this into anything big or become viral. I'm almost intentionally doing things that are not going to grow a channel, and we'll discuss that in a later video. But yeah, we'll come back and do the music video for you. And I think we're gonna go back in the house because my feet are getting cold. And yeah, thank you. Until the next one. Bye-bye.